Hi, welcome to Morning Talk Show, coming to you from the garden today. Today is my conversation with Steve Hill. Steve is many things. He's a successful business owner. He's a comedian. He is a member of the Satanic Temple, which is an organization I think is kind of misunderstood and very interesting. I've interviewed Lucian Greaves from the Satanic Temple in another episode. But Steve is running for Congress in California, and I wanted to talk to him because he's just, I think he's got a fascinating story, and he is representative of an American experience that's worth hearing and understanding. He's served in the military, he's worked in corrections, and he's got kind of a no bullshit, no nonsense approach. I really enjoyed talking to him. I think you'll enjoy the conversation as well. Like and subscribe for more of this kind of content, and thanks very much. Well, and I guess without further ado, I'll say, Steve Hill, welcome to Morning Talk Show.
Hail Satan.
Hail Satan. Thanks for being here. You're my second Satanist, and the bar is pretty high because Lucian Greaves was my first Satanist, and I love that guy. He's the best.
But yeah, no. he's the one that turned a black man into a Satanist. So yeah, he's a pretty impressive young man.
He definitely is. Like, I think me and my wife both have kind of a crush on that guy. He's just, there's something about him. He's got that kind of like trickster, kind of like a sexy rat or something. He's awesome.
He always gives you the impression that he knows just a little bit more than you think he knows.
Yeah, and maybe a little bit more than he's saying too.
Yeah.
That was a great conversation. Well, yeah, I mean, so I guess we can jump right into it. You're a Satanist. You're a black man and a Satanist and a comedian, and you're running for Congress, and you're a veteran, and you're just all kinds of things that make you an interesting guy. But I'm interested in kind of how it started. Like, how did life begin, and what led you towards where you are today with Satanism and with running for office, and like what's the beginning of your story?
Oh, well, the beginning was being born poor in a ghetto in the north side of St. Louis in 1961, about 2 weeks after former President Obama was born.
Oh.
So I'm in that age range and that generation, just being born in that situation and realizing that you're going to have to struggle. Life is definitely going to be a struggle. We don't have the resources that are required to sustain that good old wholesome American lifestyle where you got enough food to eat, you have a decent house to live in, you live in a good neighborhood with no crime and, safe. But I wasn't born into that. So I always felt I had to strive and struggle and claw my way basically out of poverty and out of the ghetto. And I learned at a very early age, I came to the realization at a very early age that religion wasn't for me. Some people go to be a theologian and they go to seminary school and they learn all of this bullshit about the Bible and all of this ancient prehistoric passed along information that's been manipulated, changed, written in different versions, all with the hands of man, no magic superpower. But I realized at the age of 8 that I just did not feel anything for religion and just thought it was all bullshit from a very early age. There was a program at my mother's church, and I was to read like this 3-line poem, and I memorized it and everything, but I just didn't have the feeling there that this was anything that I wanted to do or that was true. It was just like an empty reading. I felt nothing.
Yeah.
And I felt the Bible was all bullshit because I had attempted to read it. Even at an early age, I had attempted to read it. And,
Yeah.
it just turned me off with all the thee and thou and habit.
Yeah.
And I, even at a young age, it's like, no one even talks like this anymore.
Yeah.
And then it was, full of magic tricks and people doing shit. It's like, okay.
How much longer did, oh, sorry.
I knew at an early age that wasn't going to be for me.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I met Lucien at a conference we were attending in my hometown of St. Louis, Missouri, and a mutual friend introduced me to him. And Steve, you got to be an atheist. I mean, you got to be a Satanist. And I'm like, whoa, Nelly, like, shit, I'm already black. I don't need no more baggage. But, I'm a guy that comes from the perspective of legalities and the law. And I thought what the Satanic Temple was doing was cool. When I looked into it, and it's like, wow, they're actually using the legal system to get laws changed, going to court and bringing to everyone's consciousness that if you want us to believe your dumb shit, then here, we're Satanists, believe our dumb shit. And I thought, I talked to Lucien, we were there together like a whole entire weekend. We did a tour of the city together. And I talked to him and I thought about it and I was like, man, actually, if you think about it, that's fucking brilliant. Yeah. To fight the system with the system.
Yeah.
So it's like, I was like, yeah, okay. And, I said, hey, what you guys doing in LA? Because I was coming back home to LA and, we're going to get a chapter started. So when I got back, I hooked up with the people. There was actually 4 of us that was the nucleus for forming the Los Angeles chapter of the Satanic Temple, which we were doing some good stuff there for a while. And then, just like other things or organizations, you get people and egos and different motivations involved. And we just kind of disintegrated, basically. There was a lawsuit involved.
Oh gosh.
Someone stole money and
even in the documentary, even in Hail Satan, there was some of that, division stuff. And it's just, I think, having grown up also in churches, I think it's just the nature of any kind of organization like that. Those things happen, especially when it's new and there's probably people who want to take it in their different directions and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I'm interested in this little 8-year-old kid who was already over religion, kind of had this realization. I'm kind of jealous of that in a way, because I know a lot of people who have, like you said, have gone through the ringer. Like they don't become an atheist till they've already been kind of, chewed up through the system and shit out, right. I know people with, I got a good friend who's got a master's degree in theology, and he just couldn't be more atheist now. It's like, wow. It's good. I mean, in a way, it's kind of nice that you figured it out. How many more years did you have to go to church and stuff after that, though? Did you?
Well, I joined. I think my mother really stopped pressuring me when I was in high school, and then I went to the United States Marine Corps while I was in high school, about mid-year of my senior year. But she had kind of stopped pestering me about it.
Yeah.
Plus, I think I was about 6'5", and she probably just didn't have the energy to be like, "Come on, go to church, come on,"
drag you. Yeah. So you went into the Marine Corps. Did you always have a disciplined mind? Like, were you always drawn to kind of a disciplined way of life?
I come from a military family. I got men that have fought for this country in my family that goes back to the Civil War. My father fought in World War II. My brother fought in Vietnam. I have another brother that did 23 years in the Marine Corps, and I did approximately 6. But I just always knew I wanted to be a U.S. Marine because I perceived them to be the supreme fighting force in the world, basically. So I wanted to be a Marine. and we had a competition in my family between my brother, father, who would be the best, the best, the best. So yeah, I went and they taught me how to shoot real good, kill people real good, all of that. So
Nice. How long were you in the Marines for?
approximately 6 years,
Okay.
up to 5 years and some months or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, and your path has been all over the place. How did you get from there to being like a comedian? Were you always a comedian the whole time, or?
No, oh no. I do comedians. Well, I've always studied comedy. I always had a love of comedy because I do think I have a very keen and weird and kind of eclectic sense of humor. But my how I eat, how I make my money is I appraise real estate, and I do comedy just out of my activism, because that's a whole nother different beast. I got into a heated debate yesterday with another comedian,
Oh,
and I was trying to explain to him the difference between doing comedy for commercial purposes for money in the comedy industry and doing it out of activism. It's a difference.
yeah,
I use comedy as a conduit to reach people, to get them to not only laugh but to think, use
yeah,
their noggin, and go,
yeah,
wow, I see what you did with that joke. You're actually making a statement about women's reproductive rights or LGBTQ issues or immigration or over incarceration. My jokes are always connected to something. So
yeah.
yeah, he because he's been in the comedy game so long, it's like the concept just evaded him, like he couldn't grasp it.
Right. And sometimes there's like a feeling in comedy that there should be nothing sacred or something like that. You got to be able to, I don't know if that's a thing. You got to be able to make fun of anything, and you can't be all about a message or something like that. But I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah, yeah. I knew right off the bat for me that, okay, I can't do this to make money.
Yeah.
I don't even want to approach it like that. That's just after I saw how you got to kiss people's ass, especially in LA, where everybody goes from all over the country to get famous doing comedy, and you got to like fight for stage time,
Yeah.
and kiss people's ass and get in these networks, these little groups, and go around performing. And yeah, that wasn't. So I went and performed on the atheist circuit. That's where I met Lucian at.
Oh, there's an atheist circuit.
Yeah, at a conference in St. Louis. Yeah, we that's where we met. Yeah, he was cool. He was cool.
Yeah, he's very cool.
Still is. He's supposed to be paying me a visit. He's been out to my house before, and we went up to San Francisco for a little 2-day conference that I was speaking and performing at. I can't wait till he gets back, because now we got to go down to San Diego. He plays music and he's talented and shit like that. I guess all Satanists must have like some kind of talent or something.
Yeah.
He tells jokes. I tell jokes. He does music.
Well, I'm
sure we got somebody a juggling Satanist or some shit.
Oh, there's got to be. Yeah, I mean, there's a certain kind of clarity and freedom of mind that comes, that I feel like it probably attracts creative people, right? Because you got to take a little bit of a step outside of. I mean, you got to take a little bit of a step outside of social acceptability in a way. Like I mean, that's probably less and less true.
Yeah, it's probably a trait or a characteristic that's probably a common thread that runs through people like us.
Yeah.
Maybe our minds are a little bit more open, and we can take a different perspective or some shit.
Yeah.
But
well, yeah, what strikes me about the Satanic Temple, and one of the things I like about it, is that it seems like there's a kind of purity there, or like an idealism that is kind of counter to the standard narrative that, I mean, Christianity has obviously lost that. Christianity in a lot of ways has lost the idealism, has lost that. I mean, maybe they have a sense they can change the world, but they also kind of feel like they're in charge of the world. And so Satanists, I mean, even the fact that you're saying that you're doing your comedy and you've chose in your mind not to make your money off of it, I mean, that seems to me like that's the hallmark of a true believer. You know what I mean? Like that's like you're out there, you've got a cause, you've got something, animating
Yeah.
you that's not.
Yeah, it's not driven by material gain or monetary compensation. It's driven just by a passion for changing this fucked up world.
Yeah. And that's what I always want to tell people too. I mean, I've got a couple kids. I got 3 kids actually. One's still a baby, so I haven't told them this yet. But you don't have to make. If you really love something, you should be careful about making money at it, right? Because
Yeah.
that's a compromising step. And the mindset is just not there in North America. Like I'm in Canada, so I can't just say America, but
Right.
we've lost that mindset of doing things for the love and the passion for the people and for the sake of others and for the sake of your own, soul. I guess you probably don't use the word soul, but you know what I mean?
I'm a soul man.
Fuck yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it, man. It would be I don't know. I think it would be almost a contradiction, or if you did like, and I've seen it a lot lately. Everyone wants to monetize, being a Satanist or being an atheist or
Yeah.
just being secular. Everyone is looking for a way to, like, I want a job at this. If I could do this to get paid at the same time, that would be great.
Yeah.
But I approach it as like, fuck it. I mean, I can raise my money a different way. So hell with getting paid, and that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that down the line, if there is an opportunity, if somebody wants to, then yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But starting out, my initial move and motivation is not for money.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can relate to that. That's what this podcast is, right? Like I sit at this desk and do a day job all day. And this is what feeds my soul, is meeting people and really trying to understand other people and connect with them. So yeah, in that way I can definitely relate. So, okay. So you come out of the Marines and then did you go right into the correctional? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I went right into aerospace. I was a machinist. I was a machinist. That was my MOS, military occupational specialty, in the Marine Corps. Yeah, I was a machinist stationed most of the time with 1st Tank Battalion, 1st Marine Division, California, Camp Pendleton. So when I got out from I was already in California. I went to like LA and got a job the next day and, started real life outside the military. And I did that for about 7 years, and it became kind of boring. I was making parts for like the B-2 bombers and the stealth fighters and the SR-21 Blackbird spy plane they've since been retired. But yeah, that got kind of boring, and I wanted a little bit more excitement. So that's when I decided to go do 10 years in state prison.
Man, and how was that experience in prison or working for the prison system?
It was definitely something that changed my life. It illuminated everything that I thought before I ever worked behind the prison wall. That something is wrong with the system. Why is it always us? Why do blacks and the cops always have this animosity between each other? Why is that persistent and always there, no matter where you go? And then you look at the population behind bars at a state prison in California, and you'll see that it's extremely disproportionately filled with black men and Latinos. Blacks and Latinos, just absolute fill the prisons. And that it has to be something inherent in the system. And you learn that after a while. And you just know that the system is basically still oppressing your people through the legal system, through the judicial system, you know, amongst all of the other stuff with the redlining and putting us into these ghettos in the early 1930s, and then further doing it after World War II when all the GIs came home and they started building out in the suburbs, and the government basically sanctioned desegregation by not lending loans to Black people.
Right.
If they moved into the project, you couldn't get an FHA loan. So they basically, government sanctioned segregation. And we were forced to go live in these ghettos with lack of resources, lack of economic tax base, lack of businesses, lack of our own jobs and education. So, we become parasitic where we feed off of each other. We steal from each other. We kill each other. A lot of people lose hope. So what happens when people lose hope? You don't value life.
Yeah, dehumanizing.
You kill each other. You do stupid shit over anything because basically you're already all stressed out just from living in your current socioeconomic condition that you're required to exist in. So yeah, it's a lot of issues.
Yeah.
Lots of issues in America.
Yeah. So was it worse than you were picturing then in the prison system? Like, did it disillusion you more than you thought it would, or were you sort of looking to make a difference? And
I was there for 10 years. I say it probably took me the first 3 years to really become a good officer.
Mm.
And, they teach you at the academy to be firm, fair, and consistent with these inmates. And, once I really focused just on practicing that, you get a whole different level of respect from the inmates because they know you ain't full of shit. They know you're consistent every day. You're going to be the same. You do your program. I do officer shit. You do inmate shit. If I catch them with some contraband or something illegal, I take it. I write them up. I do what I'm supposed to do and they do what they're supposed to do. But, don't do any of that silliness, like fuck with them while they're there, fucking being over aggressive with people. None of that.
Right.
You just treat them like human beings. Their punishment is being in prison. It's not to be in prison and then be fucked with by the officers.
Right.
So yeah, it gave me I absolutely fucking love the way the inmates live in prison actually, because they have it's a code in a prison. Your word is the only thing you really have. Your word is that rings true nowhere else like in a prison, because if you can't keep your word, your life is worth nothing and somebody will kill you. So
interesting.
Yeah, I learned to live like that out on the street,
Yeah.
I tell people things, if I tell them I'm going to do something, God damn it, unless I fucking get hospital, I do it. And my whole life like that. Just say what you mean what you say.
Yeah.
Tell you I'm going to do something, my word is good. Tell you I'm going to help you move one weekend, I'm going to be there. And if everybody could live like, it's amazing now that I have a high level of consciousness of how you do this. It's amazing how many people are just absolutely full of shit.
Yeah. I mean,
they tell you,
I laugh because you have to laugh, but yeah, you're so right.
Yeah. They tell you things and they know at the time they're saying it, they don't mean it.
Yeah.
So, disingenuous, just,
yeah.
They flake, people, I'm going to do it. And it's like, how can I deal with you going forward when I know I can't trust you to keep your word.
Yeah.
So my circle is very small. I have a very small circle of people around me.
Right. The standard is high. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's great. I mean, somebody running for Congress like yourself to be able to go and see the prison population like that and to actually respect, some of their mindset and respect the way that, to look at them in a humanizing way that looks for the good and sees the good in them. That's a really important personal trait. And I'm interested in like how has your feeling about authority changed throughout your life? Like, because you went to the Marines, and there's a very finely honed authority structure, and yet you're also kind of from this disenfranchised culture, and then you saw this other disenfranchised culture in prison. Like, what's your thoughts on authority? Is that too vague a question?
No, I think I understand the question. It's the way I feel about it, authority is you like say like law enforcement, you're working under the color of the law, you have the public trust, you need to be held accountable for whatever you do that's outside the guidelines. You should be held accountable. Accountability. I don't want to defund the police. That's fucking absurd. I wore a badge for 10 years. I wouldn't want somebody, oh, well, we're going to take the money away to keep you alive on the prison yard. And, like, no, thank you. But I want the police to be held accountable. It's really, not that difficult. But I think you throw in hatred and racism, and now you got a complicated situation.
Yeah.
And people who feel that they're superior to you, and you've got this whole court, lawyers, attorneys, this whole court system that have for years been eating at the trough of what you call the legal system, the justice system, off of the bodies of Black people going to prison.
Yeah.
All those public defenders, all those attorneys, all of those, the judgeships and judges, and we've been victimized, man. Every place you turn.
Yeah.
So
people
some of us make it out, but not enough of us. I mean, in 2022, we still have ghettos. Why? Richest country on earth. Why do we still have ghettos?
Yeah. And homelessness and all that.
Oh,
yeah.
Los Angeles here, it's the worst
I know.
in the country for homelessness.
I say I know. I've heard horror stories. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, what you're saying all resonates with me, because my sense of the American sense of authority is, I think we're in a phase maybe where it has to tip and turn on its head, because I mean, to link it to Christianity, because so much in the United States is influenced so strongly by Christianity, right? You've got this religion, and I mean, I think there's a lot of ways in which the religion has been perverted, because you've got this idea of the unquestionable God, but he's not here, and I'm here and I'm in charge, you know what I mean? So I'm going to be that unquestionable God. And I feel like that's the sense I get with authority. Anytime people get that taste of it, they want to be, or even if they're just adjacent to it, even if you're just like the person below the person, it's like all of a sudden you've got this stance of like, you got to defend your position on, in the hierarchy. And that's why we need more people who are doing some of this stuff out of their own pocket, out of their own heart. And I mean, as a Christian myself, I think it's so fucked up that we have this, that this is how it is, that, it's the Satanists who are trying to come in with the purity. You know what I mean? And I really do think, especially with the Satanic Temple, that is what is happening. You've got people with quite pure intentions who have chosen the identity of the adversary because that's a strong position now, because a lot of people more and more people every day have this intuition that they need to join the adversary in some way to save the American dream, if it can be saved. Is that, little rant on my part.
I don't know if this American dream can be saved. No, I think it can be saved, but it always takes some kind of external force or or event
Yeah.
to make us come together as Americans, which we do. We do that pretty good. We come to, but it's always something outside. We don't ever look internally to try to make things better for everyone, because then we'd have to learn to deal with our history and critical race theory that they're
Yeah.
fucking absolutely
Yeah.
terrified to teach history.
Yeah.
It's you know, and then Black people are we are in, like, you're talking about a hierarchy. We're in like the worst position that you could possibly be in, because even though we were freed as slaves in 1865, we still haven't fully emancipated our minds, because we're still stuck on the white man's religion that he gave us.
Mm.
So it's like, how can you ever be totally free if you're still studying the religion of the people who used to own you? It makes no fucking sense. It's absolutely absurd to me.
Mm.
And no one talks about it, because I guess it makes Black people feel good. It's some kind of allegorical type bullshit where everybody just gets together and go, yeah, God is good, and I want to be washed in the blood of Jesus, and all the other shit that's crammed into that ancient comic book. Just senseless to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think the Black church has, in some ways, been a lifeblood of the church in the United States, because I mean, Black people do religion a little bit better. I mean, it's at least more vibrant. But
they'll put on a fucking show.
Yeah, but at the same time, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just said they put on a show, but there's a fucking entry fee you got to pay.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's a certain amount of comfort that white people feel knowing that Black people at least take part in the religion. You know what I mean? Like, people who want to.
Oh, hey, I know exactly what you mean. I say it all the time.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. I don't like using the N-word, but when I say this, I'm using it in its proper context. But I'm sure that most white people think, boy, if those Black people ever lose their religion, those niggas will kill us all.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what that makes me think. It's like, oh, I bet it's some kind of comfort for white people to be like, oh yeah, we still got them under control a little bit. We'll just go ahead and fill the prisons up with them for a while, and keep them oppressed in the ghettos, and we'll live happily ever after.
Yeah. No, I can definitely see that perspective for sure. I mean, because I think it's more and more undeniable, just the absolute power of Black culture in America, and the power and the size of it. It's not like, minority is hardly even the word anymore. Like, there still is this separation. It's madness that the separation still exists. I mean, I know that I know that it's a big.
We call that we call that separation ghettos. Nothing different than the Palestinians. Not much different than living in Sun City in the '80s, in South Africa in the '80s. Until they give us some economic structure that more people can hurry up and get out of the ghettos. That way, other people, white people, can come back in and re-gentrify, reinvest in those now mixed communities.
Mm-hmm.
Then we can get somewhere. That was the worst thing this country ever did, was to separate us like that, because it kept white people, when you're not familiar with something, you're afraid of it. And they, they kept us separate. They never had that assimilation into their culture.
Right.
We were always excluded. That way, you're always going to fear that person. That's why, like me, a 6'7" Black man, I'm always seen as a threat. I'm like 75% guilty even before they start speaking to me. Yeah. I'm already partially guilty just because I'm a big Black man and I look threatening.
Yeah.
To certain people. So,
not to mention the fact that when the ghettos are there, and a large number of white people in the United States can live without ever feeling outnumbered, then they don't necessarily like even I feel like we transition from overt racism into just kind of feeling like we're the default, right? Like that white people are the default race, and they can still think that because a lot of them just aren't surrounded by black people on a day-to-day basis. And
Right.
and even though and it becomes easy to convince yourself, like
Yeah.
that you're still preeminent.
Right. We are still the superior people. We built this country. That's the whole thing. That's the whole vibe I get off of these like the people that did January 6th that attacked the Capitol. I get this whole vibe like,
Yeah.
damn it, we stole the land from the Indians and we stole slaves from Africa and we built this country. It's ours, damn it. And it's like, no, it's we all did this.
Yeah.
Let's be together. Let's be together and love each other and not want to kill one another and not want to incarcerate the shit out of one ethnic group because they're doing crimes and shit to try to survive and eat because you haven't given them any education so they can, become a productive member of society.
Yeah. I mean, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it. Most young African American males around the age of 18, they usually have about 4 or 5 choices to make, and 3 of them are usually really bad. You got more bad options than good options when you come from areas such as the ghetto.
Yeah. And like you see this with oppressed cultures within America too, where like, for example, with gays, I remember being raised and taught that gays were all, they weren't monogamous and they were all perverted. And, when I was young, I bought into it. And then when I got older, I was like, hold up, they're not allowed to get married. Like, they literally can't get married. And so you stigmatize the people that you're subjugating. Like it, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. America's good at that shit.
Yeah. It's baked in. It's baked in.
Yeah. It's, this whole melting pot concept has always eluded a good grasp and thought of what it would really be like if we really did have a melting pot and people just fucking became Americans instead of being black or white or Mexican or Asian or gay or straight, just fucking Americans. But people don't realize this. When you leave the country and go someplace else, and people, like I spent a year in Japan, and people hear you speak and they know they just know you are you're an American. That's an American. They know that. They don't really, and that's what we are. That's how we should think when we're here together, trying to figure this experiment out.
Yeah.
That we should think first that we're all Americans, but then some of us don't get fully treated like we're fully, franchised part of the country. So there's that bullshit we have to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I always think it's of the analogy of like America's like, or sort of fixing America would be like taking a dead body, and trying to remove individual veins out of it. You know what I mean? Like that's the level of intricacy of the problem, because it's it's so internalized, and it's, and I can understand that the emotion, at least, of wanting to burn it all down and start again. I can understand why people would feel that way. I mean, I'm encouraged that people like yourself don't want to burn it down, but want to roll up your sleeves and
Yeah.
get into the intricacies of the work. Like you've been there, you've seen the inside of the prisons, and you've seen the inside of the military, and you've seen the inside of the ghetto. And now maybe, well, I don't know, maybe, I don't know if you're in acceptable, wealthy society now, but I feel like you're holding down a sustaining job. So you've kind of been in so many
Yeah.
parts
Well,
of American life.
I'm a business owner,
Yeah.
and my wife and I were talking the other day because tax season is upon us, and we figured that we're like in the upper middle class.
There you go.
We're like the poor rich.
Okay. So yeah, so you've seen so many different perspectives of American life, and uh, yeah. So I'm interested in that turn to Satanism. You were at just an atheist conference, and then you met Lucian, and you started thinking about it. Like, what was your very first thought about the whole thing?
My first thought was too much. Just too much. I'm already black. I'm already an atheist, and that right there could put you on some kind of watch list in America. So I just thought it was too much initially until I looked into it and I saw that they do things in court, which, like, to me, a bell went off. Like, all right, now we write legislation and laws and stipulate this and put this in there where, it doesn't have shit to do with anybody's religion, and it's for the people, because the people have the power, and things should be done for the sake and the betterment of the people.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the Satanic Temple is never about taking the rights of anybody away,
Right.
or keeping the rights of anybody away. It's more about making sure that rights are evenly and fairly distributed and enforced.
Don't infringe upon anyone else's rights. I think that's the first or third tenet. One of those. I haven't read them in a while.
Yeah, I haven't either.
I know the fourth tenet is my favorite. That's where the one that states that we have the right to offend. And
yeah.
I like. I don't say I like being offensive, but if you are offended, then fuck you.
Yeah, it's kind of like offense is one of the lowest forms of human emotion. It's funny that it gets trumped up into this kind of almost like a holy sacred right. Like, but I'm offended.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm offended. Like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah, and hilarious too how easily offended people who supposedly represent the God of the universe can be.
Like, you would think you couldn't say anything to offend them. They got that guy on their side.
Yeah, exactly. They could just kind of laugh it off and have a beer with you and get over it.
What could go wrong? I've got Jesus Christ.
Smite him, Lord.
Yes. See you on your way home if you make it.
So yeah, I mean, the Satanic Temple kind of exists in this weird, nether region, because it's like it's about rights, it's about fairness and equality. It's not exactly liberal. It's not exact. I mean, it's liberal overall, but it's not. You're in no camp. The conservatives. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's the part I like about it is it's also in the religious liberty, religious freedom camp.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you say the word Satan, people demonstrate this vitriolic response and start conjuring up images of you eating babies and burning brimstone, fire, and hell, and screaming and gnawing of teeth and all kinds of stupid bullshit like that.
Yeah.
And then it's like, a whole nother level. So, like, wait a minute. Why can't I be a Satanist? You're a Christian. Why can't I be a Satanist?
Yeah. Exactly. To me, if the United States is like a kindergarten, then the Satanic Temple is the kid who figured out that the sensitive kid, if they raise their eyebrow just so, then they'll freak out and they'll freak out and show their true colors. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like they can get the other kid in trouble just by being there and not even doing anything wrong.
yeah.
Which is
That's I like that. I like
um,
that. Don't draw any attention to yourself. Just wreak havoc.
yeah. Yeah, and it's so easy to do with that word Satan. I'm surprised. Actually, one of the things that I was slightly happy to hear when I talked to Lucian was that there were actually some Christian groups who were protesting in their favor on the really tense day in the documentary where like he was going to speak and he had to wear a bulletproof vest because there were legitimate concerns of assassination attempts. Apparently, there were some church groups there, and that gave me that, like, in favor of the Satanic Temple. And I think, I mean, that's the only response. That's the only good response that the church can have is either just leave the Satanists alone,
Yeah,
or just recognize that like the future of the United States is going to be one of diverse perspectives. It's not going to become a mono culture again. It's not going to become it. I mean, the cat is out of the bag, like the what do you call it? The piñata has been, burst
yeah.
open. And
Well,
it,
with the onset of the internet and all of these varieties where you ascertain information and facts and data and you can do research, religion is becoming more and more antiquated concept every day.
mm,
Every day. I just, I always think in the back of my mind, it's like, man, I wish I would have been born 3 or 4 centuries from now, when if you say something about a god, you're going to sound like a fucking primitive fucking zombie or something, because everybody's going to be so far beyond superstition and being tied to some ancient scriptures from goat herders that didn't even know the earth was round. We're going to be so far beyond that. There's going to be artificial intelligence, and there's, we can make this place like a paradise if we wanted to.
mm,
But,
yeah,
all of the oligarchs and all the people with the money want to keep it that way,
yeah,
instead of, spreading it around and making life a pleasurable experience for everyone that lives.
yeah,
Because, if we went into debt and but the country could get everyone a place to live, a small house, a car, and food to eat, even if we spent the money to do that, who would we owe? We're the fucking people. We would owe ourselves, or it would boil down to like 3 or 4 different people. And to that, I say, well, fuck those people.
yeah.
Kill them.
Well, I'm interested to see where things go, because I know there's also an increasing sentiment in Christianity of people who are starting to recognize that the implosion of Christianity that's happening to some degree, well, no, to a large degree, needs to happen. That's not just the atheists and the Satanists saying that this. I mean, we're in the apocalypse in a way. Like this is if you think of the term apocalypse as what it really means is the revealing of truth, the revealing of reality. We're in that phase now, and the dark side of Christianity is becoming more and more known. And I mean, in my opinion, I don't want to offend you or anything, but I guess you have the right to offend you. But
There you go.
in my opinion,
I'm not gonna be mad at you.
in my opinion, the Satanic Temple, in some ways, is acting more Christ-like than the church.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because Jesus, his words were so often critical of the church, and so often in favor of, like, he would just run into people. He had no plans on doing any kind of healing, but he'd meet a poor person, or he'd meet a person who he would see their pain and would just respond in that moment to that person. And that's I think that's what the Satanic Temple is doing. I'm not trying to say that you're secretly Christians or anything.
No. I understand. I understand how you're utilizing that.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. It makes sense to me. It's like we're not picking and choosing, and that's what religious people do. Like they pick and choose the good shit out. They leave all the magical bullshit in that could have never possibly happened with this guy building an ark and 2x2 animals and all of that fantasy. And people actually believed that a sea actually parted in an army, all of this magic. And it's like, how can you believe any of it? Except people always take out the parts, and they don't even get this right. Thou shalt not kill. Yeah. But what does every president say at the end of it? And God bless our troops. That's a fucking contradiction. If you're blessing our troops and our troops are successful, they're going to be killing a lot of motherfuckers. So which one is it, America? We're a Christian nation, and God bless our troops. And what is it? How do we have it?
There's such a tension in the United States, like everybody has a tension within themselves, and then there's tension with between groups of people, and it's a powder keg, and I don't think the internet and COVID-19 has improved the situation even a little bit.
I think that was a volatile cocktail.
Very volatile, yeah.
Because we had all kinds of shit going here for 1 minute. We had a pandemic. George Floyd was basically publicly lynched, and we had civil unrest. I'm like, at one point, you just feel like a fucking walking time bomb. You don't want nobody to say anything to you. You don't want to say anything to anybody else. It's just like, leave me the fuck alone. Everybody just leave me alone, and let's get through this shit together. But then you have, I don't want to take the shot. And, these fucking ignorant people who don't understand science, logic, reason, research, analysis. They don't understand science. They reject science. How could you reject science? So it made us all stay in this condition with COVID.
Man.
The duration extended that much longer because people want to keep spreading. And then all of these mutations. I hear there's another one getting ready to break. It's because people are getting vaccinated, not wearing masks, not being together. This would have been a great time. But we didn't have the president in place to bring us together to fight this shit effectively.
Yeah. Yeah, it divided everybody even further, and you have a bunch of people who've never been oppressed in their lives feeling, a sense of oppression.
Yeah. Because every time, and I just saw a sign the other day right here in town, mask and vaccine equates to slavery. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty fucked up to say, especially from someone who knows the exact fucking town square where my great grandfather was purchased as a kid.
Yeah, no, it's
really kind of fresh. Like, they failed to realize, like, you guys are always talking about your American freedom, and you still got millions of fucking descendants of slaves walking the streets every day, but yet all that comes out of your mouth is freedom.
Yeah, well, bullshit. And the freedom is a kind of a terrible kind of freedom. It's just like freedom to do, I don't know what, buy a bigger TV or something. It's not like the real freedom is freedom to support your community, and freedom to do something good, freedom to I don't know. So is this all the kind of stuff, the reason that you decided to run for Congress? This is kind of
all of this stuff that has manifested itself in my life experience, that is the truth, and people need to hear the truth. You know, for one, all white people aren't racist, and we need to come up with another term because that creates an automatic uh, knee-jerk reaction from white people.
Right.
Because I know they get tired of hearing racist, 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 racist. I know that's what it must sound like to them in America. Racist, 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 racist. And for one, because there's so much fucking racism, for one.
Yeah. It's real.
But for two, you know, I like to call it, and I think it's a little bit more accurate characterization. I like to call it tribalism.
Okay.
We're just people from different tribes, and nobody wants to see no one in their tribe mistreated. And you want people in your tribe to succeed and be wealthy and not suffer.
Right.
And not, you know,
yeah.
become a fixture in the bottom class. You want your tribe to do good.
Right.
And that's what I think, you know, white people are no different than black people, just like all people, but especially black people. When George Floyd was murdered pretty much on TV in front of everybody, everybody got mad. But black people, it hit home a lot closer because we've been trying to tell people this shit for years, that police do this kind of shit to us. Beat us, choke us, you know, do shit to us because they have a badge on and they're working under the authority of law, under color of law.
Yeah.
But it hit our tribe a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But as human beings, everyone reacted. The whole world reacted as human beings.
Yeah. Yeah, it really did. It really, I mean, I think a lot of people, it cauterized a lot of white people into finally recognizing and acknowledging what goes on, and which, I mean, I guess is one positive thing out of a super horrible situation. I mean, it is just gut-wrenching how what's needed in the United States is both an acknowledgement of what goes on with racism and a healing and uniting of the groups. Again, I feel like it's the picking those veins out of the cadaver again, you know, like, but you know, I'm glad you're working towards being a healing force. I mean, you already are a healing force. Obviously you're out there with your comedy and everything, and working towards being an even more, you know, far reaching healing force in the United States. I am interested to talk about the stuff with your weapons that got confiscated. Is that something?
Well, I wasn't, fortunately, very fortunately, I wasn't home, and the officers were recorded on my Ring doorbell, and I was with my wife on the way to actually appraise a property, and he called us on my wife's phone, and this guy said, "Oh, well, we're here to we have to confiscate your weapons because you were recently released from a mental institution." And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Oh, you weren't released from it. It's like, yeah, it says you were released. And it's like, no, I've never been in a hospital a day in my life, except when I was born. But I've never spent the night in anything, hospital, sick, nothing. So I'm like, where did this shit come from? And now, no one can provide me any answers.
Huh.
So I'm still sitting here this day like, okay, if I was a threat on, that was
last week,
the 15th, I should still be a threat today. But they haven't come back, which I find strange, because I immediately picked up the phone and started. First, I called my congressman, Mike Garcia. Then I called my state senator, Scott Wilk. And I'm like, hey, man, what the fuck is going on? People are here talking about getting my guns at my house. And all of a sudden, everything went away. But I need to get to the bottom of where that shit started at.
Yeah. 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 I wonder. I mean, I know there's been some heat on Satanists recently. Do you think it could have anything? Well, I guess I can't even ask you to surmise on that because it could be who knows what.
I think it's some. I think it's the LA County Sheriff's Department because I was suing them. I think it's the LA County Sheriff's Department and one of the LA County supervisors, Catherine Barger. The guys from the California Department of Justice informed me that it originated in the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department.
Huh.
And now I can't get any information. The people that I have asking questions that are in politics, that are elected officials, they can't get any answers. It's like a fucking mystery now.
Huh.
But I've called the FBI. I spoke with the FBI twice because I'm a candidate for Congress. And I'm like, hey, I need for you guys to find out where this shit came from. Is my life in danger? Because if you come here talking some bullshit about I've been in a mental hospital and you want my guns, and I know I haven't been in a fucking mental hospital, you're not gonna get my guns. I might give you my bullets.
Yeah. Huh.
But you're not getting my guns.
The silence is probably more eerie than actually like finding out what happened.
Yeah, it is. Because it's like, is someone out there like lurking? Were they trying to get me killed? Because nobody's getting, I'm not just like surrendering my guns because of some bullshit. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting though to find out because
Yeah. I sure hope that the story does come out at some point that I can, read an article. I'm sure you'll tweet it out if some closure happens on that.
Yeah, well, there has to be some closure. So yeah, something's gotta give.
Man.
I'm just not gonna let it go away. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Yeah.
Like who did that? Who was behind that?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, what I'm forming in this conversation is a picture of somebody with unusual kind of clarity and certainty of mind. That's kind of a thread that I'm seeing. Correct me if I'm wrong. Through your life, it seems like 8-year-old, deciding religion was bullshit, and then military, and then going through the prison system and all the clarity of I don't know. That's just something. That's something that I admire in what I'm hearing. Is just a type of I don't know, self-assurance or something like that.
Yeah. Well, you know what? When you live a fact-based existence, data-driven, real life, and you know the truth, my life, to me, it seems like I've kind of pulled the curtain back because of what I've done and where I've been and what I've seen. And I have this really, really strong belief in what the truth is. And the truth is certain people are, they're left out of full citizenship as of being an American. You're just slightly still oppressed, which is really something that irritates you and puts you on edge every day of your life, because you meet people, you talk to people, you don't know what perspective they're going to be coming from. Right. It's like, am I approaching a friend or a foe, or am I going to have a conversation and ascertain for myself from perception who this person?
Yeah.
Is this person dealing with me at arm's length?
Yeah. Or how many layers of bullshit?
Yeah. Or is he, bullshitting me and not looking at me as if I'm someone who, should be respected and just, dealt with like a fucking full-fledged American person, individual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm interested. I feel like the Satanic Temple is getting some headlines again and getting into the public consciousness again, and I'm interested in the future of the Satanic Temple. I'm kind of cheering you guys on from the sidelines a little bit, kind of enjoying the the shit disturbing and the revealing of the truth. You know, you've got this Charlie Kirk, and all the people getting really upset about after school Satan clubs and the convention or whatever. Somebody was tweeting out that they were pretty sure that free speech didn't include Satanism. It was just like,
yeah, oh yeah, it was, yeah. Some of the posts that I saw, and I don't know if do you know Stu?
not by first name, no.
Oh, okay. Well, I talked to him probably last week because he's an attorney.
Oh, was he in the documentary?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I remember. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Stu, I know his last name is Dehan or something sounds German or something that they don't teach you in Ebonics, so I'm not even going to try to louse it up.
Okay.
But yeah, I talked to him and he's kind of interested in how this whole thing turns out with them coming to try to take my weapons. Yeah. And he was telling me a little bit about the conference, the satanic conference. I mean, it's good enough to irritate religious people that have at it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a fascinating time. I talked to a fair few people from a Christian perspective, but I really was happy that you that we got to talk, because I definitely feel like you can so easily enter an echo chamber these days, and I feel like the people who hate Satanists, I mean, that's the most superstitious thing of all, right? The Satanists are not superstitious people. Right. But being afraid of Satanists is a superstitious stance, especially if the God of the universe is on your side. Right. And I just feel like they just don't know any, Well,
see, and that goes back to the whole black people, the ghetto thing, and white people living in the bubble.
Yeah.
Familiarity breeds content, and you're comfortable with people when you know them. Yeah. But if I tell somebody I'm a Satanist, they don't know me. They know Satan.
Yeah, I think they do.
They don't know me, so they're automatically triggered.
Yeah.
Because they're superstition. They've been mentally conditioned all their life to think negative about a Satanist or Satan. Yeah. And I find that little bit of dance, I'll call it a dance. I call that little dance to be somewhat invigorating, because I look at these people and go, are you really this fucking stupid?
It separates the wheat from the chaff a little bit. It gives you an instant, yeah.
Yeah, you know who you're dealing with automatically. Now, when I say that I'm a Satanist and the person chuckles, now I've got a friend, because I got somebody standing in front of me that understands.
Yeah, yeah.
And we can talk. We can talk. You can't offend me. You can, tell me your side of the story, perspective, whatever. But understand me a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that's what's needed. That's what's needed everywhere. I really think that just looking at each person, and this is like a big thing for me, looking at each person that comes to you, they're a whole universe. Like, behind your eyes, there's a whole landscape that's there. And, I don't know it just by looking at you, and you don't know it. You don't know the whole thing, and I don't know the whole thing, what's behind my eyes. And if we talk and you show me around, I might help you see something about yourself. You might help me see something about myself. And that is just like that's the gold standard of interpersonal communication, that I think the more we can kind of undermine systems that make people somehow feel that they are magically a different identity than the other people that they meet, the more we can dismantle those systems, I think the more we can get down to that one-on-one,
Yeah, that whole thing you just stated right there. I sum it up in a few short words, man. Peace, love, and understanding. That's it. First, we need peace. We can't be at war. We'll never understand each other being at war with each other. And then we need to love each other as human beings, as citizens of a civilized society. And then we can talk, and so we can understand each other. So we don't have to fear each other. So you don't have to lock up all of one ethnic group because everybody's mentally conditioned to fear them for some reason. You know, so we got work to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a great inspirational way to end it. I think we've been going an hour, and this has been great. I feel like everybody should befriend a Satanist. That's my challenge to everybody out there. But go befriend a Satanist because, you know, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like it's actually a pretty open group. You know, like it's going to be easier than maybe approaching some other people because a Satanist, you know,
open minded.
Yeah, they've chosen this outside perspective. So yeah, I just think it's really interesting. So thank you very much for talking to me today, Steve.
Oh, thanks for having me. Thanks for the conversation. Get it out there because it you know, we need to have more conversations.
Absolutely. Well, my pleasure having you. So yeah.
Thank you.
I'll cut it off there, and I'm going to edit the end off. But yeah, this has been great. Okay. Appreciate it.
Okay, but you can let them know they can reach me at Satan, the number 4, Congress.com.
Yes.
Steve Hill Comic on Instagram. For Satan, my thinking of my Twitter. All of that shit, it's on my website.
Oh yeah, no, I think I even have your Twitter up here. I can tell you what it is.
Yes.
It is Steve Hill. Oh no, never mind. Maybe not. Anyway, yeah, but yeah, check out those websites. Check out the Congress platform. Vote for Steve Hill if your conscience tells you to do so. I mean, I'm convinced that you're on the level. So for whatever that's worth.
Hey man, if I was elected, I would be the absolute best representative that people could ever imagine. Because I'm trying to do this just spending my own money without taking any money, no special interest groups, no corporations. I don't even want money from the people. All I want is the people to fucking vote, and that's free. And you think about it. If the people do that, I'm the people, the power of the people. I'm their power. I don't owe nobody shit. I don't owe no special interest, nothing. I don't owe nobody shit but my people. And that's where the power is. But if the people got to be brave, they got to look past all this superstition bullshit and look towards all of the money that these other politicians are raising. Yeah. Because they want to do a low-grade brainwashing and inundate their mailboxes with literature and flyers and fucking TV ads and I'm full of shit, like they always do every election cycle. And then that's where the people lose their power at.
Yeah.
So fuck them and fuck their money. And I'm gonna show people this is how you get money out of politics. All you guys got to do is fucking vote. This is how you get money out of politics. So,
yeah. Well, hey man, I hope it works. And good luck.
I'm not quitting my day job.
I will be following it with interest.
All right, my man.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
Bye-bye.